Right, welcome guys to the first episode of K podcast. And I've been thinking about doing a podcast for a very long time, and finally we've been able to do it. And I'm honoured to have these two individuals who are sitting with me. This season we're going to be focusing on marriage, but not necessarily marriage. We're looking at pre-marriage, post-marriage, etc. And I've got two lovely people in front of me. A gentleman who is a husband, a father, an entrepreneur, business owner. Anything he touches, he turns into money. Mr. Nicholas Dex. And also the beautiful content creator, mother, wife, Afrobeats dancer, Mrs. Flavia Benko. How are you guys?
We're fine.
Bless, man. Thank you. That was a nice introduction.
What I'm really speaking the truth.
That's anything I touch comes on it.
Thank you. So guys, so today what I really wanted to do is talk about marriage and weddings. And I think for you guys, I've known you guys for quite a while. Flavia probably 10 years circa, Nicholas probably just under 10 years, etc.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, when I thought about this topic, you two were the first people that came to mind. See, because when I think about you, Flavia, and let's face it, we all came from a place in terms of you was the queen of the dance floor when it came to Afrobeats back then. Like you didn't miss any rave. Like whether LA Lounge, Lincolnshire, Afrobeat Weekend, you was there. And now when I see you in terms of your progression as a wife, as a mother, like your priorities just has changed completely. And that's why I really wanted to talk about in terms of how has life kind of been for you, even say over the last kind of 5 years?
I'll just call it growth, blessing. The meeting with Joe. Well, the time I met with Joe, I was really, at that point, I was like turning 25. I was in a job that I kind of like.
How many years ago was that?
That's now 5 years ago, yeah, 5. Yeah, now, well, we've been together technically 6 years now. So I was at the time where I was genuinely ready now to find someone to start something, but I wasn't too sure. And meeting with Joe was like a blessing at the right time. And he was a guy that was serious from the beginning. Literally, I think it sounds cliche, but literally the day we met, he said, "Oh, I'm gonna marry you." And I'm thinking of this guy, like, guys sometimes they like to talk.
Was that scary? Was that scary for you?
No, for me, I was like, you're not serious. No, like I thought it was just a joke. But as the relationship progressed, you could tell that this guy wasn't trying to go anywhere. He knew what he had, let's just so to speak.
Sorry.
So yeah, he knew. And from then, it was just about taking life seriously, changing your priorities in the sense that are you with people that are going to encourage you to be faithful? Because these days, even people take that for granted. Be faithful in a relationship, be serious with each other, try and have goals that are linked together. Because I may have a goal that might not go with what my husband is trying to do. Am I able to maybe humble myself in that situation? I can wait for that for a moment and work on something that we can both put in together and succeed. So.
And what about you, Dex? How's it been for you over the last 5 years?
It's been a blessing. I'll be lying if I said it was a straightforward. There's a lot of learning, a lot of developing. But one thing that's beautiful is the friendship has been, maintained.
The foundation.
Yeah, I feel like the foundation is strong, especially with God first and foremost. And I think it's a journey. We're learning all the time. And I think one thing that's beautiful about our one specifically is it doesn't feel old. Not like back in the year, it still feels brand new, still feels fresh, and it still feels like we're getting to know each other a bit more and push each other a bit more.
Was your 4 or 5 years married now?
With men, the years is, we've got to be quite specific, But yes, about 5 years, yeah.
So, the ultimate question is, how do you know, as an individual, how do you know when you're ready for marriage? I'm going to let anyone take it first. How do you know when you are ready for marriage?
I'll let the guy go first. Because, from a female point of view...
I'll let the guy go first.
From a female point of view, it's definitely easier to know when you're ready. But for a guy, I'd actually be interested to know when a guy knows that he's ready. Because he'll justify my answer.
I can only speak from my personal perspective. And as a man, I think for me it was just having that encounter with God and just hearing his voice and him telling me what I need to do. I think in my nature of business, away from marriage, you know, if I have an idea, it's like a confirmation that's come to me through what I believe is a voice. And that was the same. But it's like things weren't really manifesting physically. I didn't have certain things in order. You know what I'm saying, as a man, but it was almost like just do it and everything else will come.
So how long in the relationship did you decide to propose?
5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, about 5 years. Because I think we were more friends more than anything, and then we built that true, you know, relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend. But then I wouldn't say I wasn't serious. It's just I was really more focused on building my empire, what I wanted to do. And she's always been an encourager and a supporter. And I like what you know, my sister said. It's like I've always known that's going to be my wife, but when I just don't know. And it was almost like I thought, yeah, once everything is built, and I'm like, hey, that's when I'm going to do it. But
do you think that's the same thing with a lot of guys?
100%, because I feel like a lot of men, a lot of kings, just want to make sure that things are in order before taking on that type of responsibility.
Well, the thing when you say about men, what I realised, I remember when I left my full-time job, I said all I need from just my business is to pay myself £1,000. Like, if I can just do anything, like whether hosting or putting on an event and pay myself £1,000 every single month, then I'm going to be fine. And then you get to that stage and then you realise, like you get other commitments in terms of when you move out and things like that, then you decide, okay, right, I need more than that. So I find that with men, it's like you set a target and then you realise when you get there, you don't even realise sometimes you get there, but then another target's already been set. So if you're using that in terms of to get married, don't you think it's going to be harder if you always wait until your empire is built?
This is it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I had to be obedient to that voice and just say, yeah, I'm just going to do it with what I have. And it was the most beautiful.
He wasn't scared?
100%. 100%, bro. Come on, man. This is the whole life. This is lifetime. You're giving away everything. Like, this is serious, but I don't regret it.
Okay.
You know, as much as...
But what was you scared of, though?
Wow. Wow. You know what it is? I feel like just... I don't want to say responsibility, but I just want to say I felt like I was scared of I might lose myself. Like, it's a responsibility. It's a big responsibility. And like what you said, you're used to taking care of yourself. Now when you want to take care of other people and the whole family, that's a lot of responsibilities. So I can't just come out and just jet and do something because I want to do it. I got to think about the family because everything affects it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like the domino effect. So that's why I was like, yo, Nicholas, you should be ready for this. You know, you want to go and check your bedroom sometimes, but it's like, can't do that.
You have to prioritize.
You got to prioritize. So that's where I wouldn't say I was scared. I was just a bit more cautious, and I had to be a bit more focused. And at the time when I'd done it, a few of my friends were married, but not the majority. So I had to hold on to some of the great examples that I saw, but not depend on them. Knowing that when I get into this, I'm on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be calling up, you know, my people. You know.
What about you, Flavia?
For me, life-wise, I always knew that I wanted a family, I wanted the husband, I wanted children. I never really was one of the person that you see me dating just here and there. You can see me out partying and stuff like this, but in sense of dating,
saw you out partying.
But you was good all the time. I mean, I was a hard worker. I was a work hard, play hard. You see me work 5 days, 7 days, and then drive out my party and then go back to work. Because with me, I'm all about life is short, and I don't want to just be working all the time. That's why you saw me enjoy myself. But I always was a firm believer of dating with intention. So the reason why I was ready for marriage, to marry Kojo, I saw this guy sacrifice certain things because he put into place stuff for us for the future. I saw it not like, let's say, maybe not hang around with friends so many times because you know what, Flav, today we want to steady. Let's talk about our dreams.
So would you say for women, it's more of what you see from a guy to know that you're ready for marriage?
Yeah, like actions. For me, I always promising me on my platform say a lot about actions over words. Action will tell you if a person is kind of ready. As a woman, it's all about trust and believing that this person is also ready for you. You can be ready all you want, but if the man isn't ready, it's not gonna happen. At the same time, as a woman, you know, kind of even culture-wise, they always kind of prepare for the marriage, you know.
Yeah.
So when you get married, you get married. So you kind of have the marriage seed in your head anyway. But the difference between actually getting to the final stage is who you're with and if the person is ready to build with you. So for us, I know you were saying like you wanted to have everything in place. I don't think we had like everything in place, but it was one of those that we just went through it, trusted God and said, let's just go for the whole getting married.
But don't you think as a woman, it's like, the expectation as a guy, you want to build your empire, etc. But as a woman, isn't there certain things that you would want to make sure you've ticked off or you're currently doing? Or even, like they said, in terms of going out, like you cut down going out as a guy. Don't you think the same thing as a woman? Because girls, they like to have their little girls' night out, hotels night in with the girls and things like that. So for you, did you kind of even start minimizing that when you met your partner to then begin to see yourself as, you know what, I'm ready to get married?
Yeah, I mean, with me, it wasn't a whole like cold turkey kind of stop and everything, but it was just like, okay, the friendship I had, are we just gossiping? Are we just talking nonsense?
Yeah.
What are we watching? What are we reading? Like our friends, I have a group where we share scriptures or what do you think about this? We have debates, like
I just clap for that because that's
But like, you have to, because it's the people you have that surround you,
Yeah.
that are around you, that will kind of shape where you go in life, I think, anyway. Like, it's not easy. Like, your friends really do chip in with conversation or, are you sure you want to marry him? He hasn't done this. Or, you sure you want to marry him? He hasn't done that.
I don't think personally, I don't think that's right. And because
it's not right, but it happens.
Exactly. So like, having friends that are saying, has he done this, or I don't think that's right, I think that can begin to plant seeds in your head and actually make you scared.
Yeah.
So they're planting fear into your head.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of relationships, sometimes you just have to, like Dex was saying, almost, you know, when you've got a spirit of discernment and you're just listening to one voice. Mm-hmm. But when there's several voices in your head, it's so hard for you to believe that you're ready to be a wife or you're ready to be a husband kind of thing. But on the topic of your friendship circle, do you think it's important to have a network of married people around you?
It helps, but it's
in
not
what sense?
It helps in the sense that, okay, well, it also depends on the type of married couples you have around you, because not every married couple is a good example, sorry to say. But it helps in the sense of like, oh, what are you guys doing this week? Oh, today, I'm going to say like a stupid example, oh, today I'm doing the garden with my wife. I'll be like, another husband could be like, oh, this weekend all I'm doing is playing games, or I'm going to watch football every single weekend with my friends. Even, do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's like the couples you see will also make you understand that, okay, this guy is in for his family. Like I always I send DMs to Dex all the time, like, bro, you always like, even when we date, you always say, bro, you're my inspiration. you see, you notice guys in this case, or married couples that are they're trying for their marriage, they're working for a marriage, because no marriage is perfect.
Yeah.
With me, marriage is hard work. Yes, I never try and build a fairy tale about my own marriage with Pedro. I always tell people it's hard, but if you believe in the marriage, if you believe in your partner, believe where you're going, you work for it. And trust me, the results, the fruits you bear from a hard working marriage is beautiful. That's why you see all sides of me. You know that, listen, I always try and promote it to my friends, because if you do it properly and it works and you invest your time, marriage is beautiful. I would always be like a champion of saying, get married if it's the right thing for you. If it's not the right thing for you, it's also okay, but be realistic with yourself. So if you're even going out with someone and you know that that's not your path, be honest and tell the other person, because you don't want to waste somebody's time as well.
I think for me, I knew I was ready for marriage when I remember I was in Ghana, and then my girlfriend at the time, she called me, and then she's like, oh, I just got off the phone to your mum. And then I was like, okay. So yeah, me and your mum spoke for 2 hours. The minute she said that, I was like, this is not like any other girl that I've dated. Because my thing is, when you've got a relationship with one of the most important beings in my life, that is already, or basically you're kind of just saying that, you know what, I'm here for you. Because you need to understand, just have a phone conversation for 2 hours with one. It's not like, oh, hello, how are you? You know how I can say, hello, how are you kind of thing. How would just say hello to mommy and daddy for me. It was a full-blown 2 hours conversation they had. That was the first thing. And then secondly, I remember she called me when I was in Ghana as well. And it was just a constant checking on me. Have you eaten? I'm thinking to myself, even if I haven't, you can't actually cook for me right now because you're not in the same country as me. Have you eaten? Oh, what are you doing? Kind of thing. Oh, how did that meeting go? How was this kind of thing? She took a personal care into something that, to a certain degree, she couldn't control, but she had a personal care towards it. So for me, I was like, yeah, this person, that's when I kind of, like you said, the spirit of discernment, that's when I heard God's voice saying, okay, right, this person, she's going to be your long-term partner. So those are the things that I got for it. Now, like you were saying, when you decide, especially as a guy, you decide you're going to marry, you bought the ring, blah, 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 there's also going to be, I'd say, the devil on the shoulder.
100%.
Did you not ever experience that?
100, man. 100%.
You're just doubting yourself. Can I do it? Can I really do it? Can I really be successful? Can I be a good wife? It's easy to say you want to be a good wife, but can I actually do it every day for the rest of my life? And believe in this person, because things will go wrong. And can I still be there with the same energy? You know, people say keep the same energy. Can you keep that same energy for the rest of your life? It's a question that sometimes people don't really ask themselves. They see the wedding, they see the white dress, they see people dancing, they see people eating the food. But when that's all done and dusted, can you handle all of it? It's a lot.
Yeah, and I think just to add to, what Flo said as well, I think it's important to have people that are genuinely invested in you as an individual and potentially what your marriage will be or could be. Because there's no auto response in marriage if they're really down for you. It's not just, how is the missus? It's like, really, how is she? How is the kids? How are you? That's general questions, and I feel like I kind of had that. My brothers generally checking for it. My mentors, pastors, really invest in time because for me personally, it's a battle for what I was and who I am and what I'm gonna be. And
why was that battle?
Pardon?
Why was that battle versus who you was?
Because it's like what you said, that battle in the mind. It's like, am I fit for this? But then the question is, who is fit for this? Unless you do it, who do you know? It's so easy to point a finger and say, oh, but you was that before, you was this before. But it's what you know that you're going to become, it's going to make the difference, if that completely makes sense. Another thing as well that I think is important with marriage as well is like understanding certain patterns in your upbringing, like when you've been young. Because I feel like sometimes what you've kind of seen in regards to an influential perspective can help you in regards to direction to get married.
Would you say, a good thing you put out, would you say a lot of us have seen the ideal or the perfect way to go about it?
Perfect way? What's the perfect way?
For example, how people have been raised, like your mum maybe have said every single Saturday, make sure you clean the house. In your head, as growing up, that's the perfect way to clean the house. So in terms of marriage, from what you've seen of parents or aunties and uncles, would you say that's a way that you've seen it be like, yeah, you know what, that's what I've been taught, so I'm going to go and do it?
That's mad. That's actually a great question.
Yeah.
So I actually have a pastor, his name's Pastor Ernest Frimpong, and he's actually brought out a book called The Audacity of a Godly Marriage. And during counseling sessions, he mentioned something that I've taken with me for like a long time, and that was, I might do a certain thing based on my upbringing at my home, and my wife also might do something based on her upbringing. We need to come to our own home and create our way. So that's not my way from before, that's not her way from before, but this is our way. And I think that's very powerful because though I'm seeing, and I have seen great examples, I can't allow that to be the base or foundation of my relationship. I need to kind of create my own with her and let it be organic.
Was that easy though?
It's not easy.
No.
Each of us say it's not easy. No.
Of course not.
It's not easy.
Of course not.
I would just think, even when you just look at, say, the workplace environment, someone will be like this or work in this workplace for 5 years and go to another workplace in the same role and be like, no, that's how I've done in my old workplace. And now imagine us, 30 plus, being the same how we've been for 30 years, and all of a sudden, hello, you're now living in the same house with someone. And all of your learnings and teachings for 30 years, you're now having to say, you know what, I have to now shift that. Yeah, amazing, unlearn. And I'm trying to think, what are the challenges that even come with that? And that in itself can even make you think, am I ready for marriage? Everyone's ready to buy a ring, everyone's ready to have a turn up at their wedding, but that in itself, unlearning, learning, compromising. Is everyone ready for that?
You know that word, And at the same time, if you're not careful, that will make you think, is this person even for me? Because you think this is what I like. This is
that.
Sometimes, but
Give me an example.
I don't know, like it's gonna sound very petty. I don't know. I can't.
Because I know you're OCD.
But I'm just OCD in general, in life, at work. It works well most of the time at work and stuff, but in marriage it's different. So, but for me, I've always seen my parents have been married for 34 years, yeah. I've seen how it works, and of course, I've seen it works. But I need to sometimes, even Kwejo, we say it all the time, that I need to also remember that that's not my marriage. And sometimes, as harsh as it sounds, it's true. There's certain things that I may do around the house that I know that mom did it and it just worked perfect for dad. And it just made the day run smooth.
But you clean like about 5 times a day, don't you?
No, I clean, well, coronavirus, isn't it?
Before, no, but that's just a good example actually. Like, some people believe in deep cleaning, say once a week on a Saturday.
Yeah, I'll probably, if it wasn't because I have a baby now, I'll probably still do it every day.
So did you have to kind of almost tone it down? Because I can just imagine if you're so used to being OCD, and because there's someone that comes in and puts his keys and puts his wallet somewhere, did you tone it down or were you kind of like militant on it?
At first you're militant because you think, listen, this is how it's going to work. Like, in order for me to stay at peace. Because even with me, if there's anything out of place, I don't want to say like I get the shakes, but I'll be uncomfortable until the thing is clean. Like we could be watching a movie and I could see something tiny on the front.
Pause the movie and
I have to clean it.
That's not normal, by the way.
Yes, it is. So like I have to sometimes be like, but could just kind of learn to live with me. So he'll see that I'm staring at something.
So he's learned the art of compromising.
No, but that's on cleaning. I might have compromised on something else. Like, for example, he likes to play FIFA and I hate FIFA. Okay. But I know that if he wants to play half an hour FIFA, maybe at the end of the day after work, and I'm just cleaning and doing something during that time, it works for both of us. So with marriage, you have to learn to give. So he knows this certain days, I'll take my bleach out, I'll start cleaning. And he knows that, you know what, I'll take my girl for walks, I'm out of her way. But then the day the house is clean, everyone's happy. So.
What about you, Dex? Do you think you've had to learn how to compromise, or you've mastered, should I say?
No. When this gets out, Mrs. looking at me.
We don't do it on purpose, you know. We don't do it on purpose.
No, I just think, just every day is like learning. Just growing, like, you know, sometimes I say certain things to her about something, and she says certain things, and it's like, you realise why we're so compatible, why you need each other, but collectively, it makes sense. But one thing I would say, we're just growing. It's a journey, and I feel like no one has it figured out. And I think that's one thing that, you know, society and social media has created. We had a great conversation with Sully Briggs on our podcast, King's Talk, and he said like,
well done on that.
Thank you, brother.
Great, very good move.
Thank you.
And I think that in itself, so it's deviate a bit, but I think King's Talk in itself, one, there is nothing else out there which is like that, and I've maybe said that to you before, but more importantly, I think, we've already asked me to do the promo stuff as well. I just think that men, we are expected, we are built a certain way, so automatically we carry the persona of he's got everything sorted. Why are you crying for? Why are you complaining for? Just get on with it, because that's what men are meant to do. I think King's Talk has always given us a place just to complain. And I think, you know what, complaining actually brings healing. So given that platform, I think, and there's so many people that I saw that was involved in it, who were participating towards promotion or
there was one
what's
chef as well, I remember, like an Asian chef, I forgot his name. It was one of the first episodes, and he just spoke about how he takes his time with his kids to help his wife, and it was just nice to hear, I followed him since then, like, honestly, it was so nice to actually hear a man actually say it and explain how he got to where he is now. And sometimes we don't explain people the journey, even like he says social media, we just see that he's working for this team. How is he working? What happened in between?
And when I just look at even what we're just talking about in terms of knowing when you're ready, I think when you're around kings and you're hearing their journey,
it helps.
Do you understand?
It helps. And just to add to what you're saying, I think the platform isn't created just complain. It's actually to be transparent and let you know that, listen, you're not the only one. And sometimes as men, as husbands, as fathers, you have to have the answer even when you don't even have the answer. Do you understand? And you have to have the solution when you don't even know where to fix the problem. So it's a safe place to allow iron to sharpen iron. You know, but coming back to the example I was going to make about Sully Briggs, he said, there's no fairy tale to marriage. No one posts a picture when they're arguing. You ever seen that?
Never. Like the secret camera.
You only put a certain, perspective.
The fun times.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think we need to be very careful that we don't base that on it. And because there's not a lot of real life examples, you go out looking for people that are doing it and say, we need to be like that. That's the example. But you're only seeing a portion of the reality. So I think it's important that as individuals, you kind of harness your own situation, own it, and then come out and be unapologetic about it.
100%.
That's what I think it's all about.
Because I remember I've done a wedding probably about 7 years ago, 2013, and I remember I was listening to the groom's speech, and the groom was giving some strong. He was being so transparent, the most transparent speech I've ever heard, and he said, "Yeah, it's been very hard for me to get to this stage, but I've got to this stage." He turned around and said, I was working in an apprenticeship where I wasn't getting paid, and then I managed to start getting paid, but even though I was working 50 hours, I was only being paid £700. And listen, that was enough for me not to want to propose or just get married yet, because when you think about it, an individual earning £700, how can you potentially look after your family on £700? But then he said point blank that what I was able to do was just believe that, if God has told me that I want to get married, or this is a person for me, it's time to get married, then so be it. And listen, now I'm here today with my wife, and it was a beautiful saying. But when he just said that, I thought to myself, that is enough reason for people to be turning around and saying that, it's not my time to get married yet, because I'm not earning, especially for a man. When it comes to finances, and a man hasn't got his finances and things like that in place, he feels, no, there's no way that I can go and get someone's daughter from their dad's house, where daddy gives them everything, and make them my own. But he was able to turn it around. And conversations like that, which I think the platform offers people need to hear more and more and more of that each and every time.
Definitely. And you know what it is? You might not be at that position, but being able to be in, potentially married allows you to force yourself or to groom yourself to be able to say, no, I have to provide, I've got to think differently. There is more to me. You know what I mean? Because I think we limit ourselves based on our responsibilities or what we know that's within us. And I think it's important that we look at ourselves completely different,
How did you practice in terms of, was there any, besides say marriage counseling or anything like that, was there anything you guys was doing to strengthen your belief system that you can do this?
Well, we were in a long distance relationship, but it was a 3.5 hours drive for us, and I was a flight attendant, and he was at the time working 7 days a week. So we saw each other once every 2 months.
That can be even frustrating itself.
And everything was always FaceTime. We'll have dinner. I know it sounds really cute or whatever, but we'll have dinner during FaceTime and talk about our day if we could.
You've got a candle next to it.
No, I'm a candle person, but no, or we'd ask each other questions. I brought a book to show that we had a book was called 101 questions to ask before getting engaged. But we actually found this book after we got engaged, but it was like, you know what?
You still use it?
Yeah, let's just ask it. And we went through every single question over the course of the year we were about to get married. And there was some deep question about how we want to raise kids, how we want to run the house, how we want to run finances, how we want to behave around our families, our in-laws. Because once we join the families together, that's another thing that adds to the mix. What do we want to do in sense of education, dreams, goals? For me, it's the conversation that you have. And a lot of times we think about dating a person, getting engaged. A lot of people think about the going out, the eating the meal together, the dressing up to getting ready. But the dating is that time to find out, okay, is this, I'll call it business deal that we're about to enter in? Is it going to work? With us, when you talked about finances, we had so many struggles and hurdles in between. We've had an interview with a couples channel, and we literally went into detail about everything that happened to us, because Joe lost his job a day before we got married.
I remember that,
And then we got married. Then my firm, which I was flying for, closed down. I was 8 months pregnant when it closed down, and a week before entering maternity. So we kind of, on my platform, on my social, we dive into a lot of details about different struggles. That's why I try to tell everybody how it
is.
I'm the most realist person. I'll tell you how it's been, because I don't like selling it. I'm always I don't like selling a dream. Can you handle? Yes, marriage is fun, but there's things behind that you need to know whether you're ready for it.
Stuff.
So with us, the long distance relationship helped us because we were forced to get to know each other properly. We were forced to have those discussions that sometimes you might try and avoid and be like, I'll talk about it later. Even in this book, you delve into the fact of how do you want to raise your kids? Because there's a lot of certain questions that don't really come up until, okay, I'm pregnant, I'm about to give birth here. But for example, traditionally, I don't want anybody to bath my baby. In my house, I want to bath my baby. From a point of view of tradition, some moms might kick off, some mother-in-law might kick off. Is your husband going to support your decision because you spoke about it already? Or is it now a problem now that the baby's here? There's a lot of questions that a lot of people don't ask each other until it's too late. And then when it's too late, you think, oh, was I even ready for it? Yes, you was. You just didn't know that how to manage the situation that was upon you. Does that make sense?
How would you guys say you locked off your or locked off your previous life that didn't need to be in your new life when you decided that I'm ready for marriage?
It's just how you act. With me, it was just how you processed it, how you managed your time. Because doing certain things here and there take time. Time that you could be investing in the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So for me, it's how you manage your time. This 3 hour, free weekend that I've got, what do I want to do? I'm not saying cut off all your friends. I'm not
really talking about friends. I'm talking about everything. And even with guys, for example, it's like guys get attention when they're engaged. From the opposite sex. It's like that is so attractive to women.
I don't know why. I think it's because they see the potential.
Possibly. So that's even another devil on the shoulder that guys have to deal with themselves. And probably the same thing with women. Like there are guys that see a ring on a woman's finger and will still go for it.
Yeah,
so in terms of your previous life with the devil on your shoulder, with the temptations, how are you able to kind of, if you want to say, cut that off?
You just have to stay focused for me.
Really?
Yeah, and respect the partner.
Boy.
Because let's keep it with temptation is real out there. And a lot of people seem to think, because again, what we are shown on social media is happily ever after. That's what we're shown from one picture, which does not necessarily mean that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a lot to do with your thinking, mentality. If you don't sort of transform, you transfer. Energy kind of just continues. So I definitely think it's really important that you admit it's not easy. That's I think the problem is when you try and act like you're a perfect person.
And it's not there.
And it's not there. And we've all got it together. And we don't go through that. And when the thing happens or you feel some type of way, depending on what your practices are, you follow that. Mine might be prayer, speaking to my boys, speaking sometimes to my wife, do you know what I mean, about certain things, just, trying to be accountable. But I think as well, and I know this might be a bit mad, is sometimes you really have to do it for yourself before you have a partner. Because I think that's when you bring more. I feel like sometimes when it's like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to offend my other half, how about you? I feel like we also have to respect ourselves as the husbands, as the men. So we bring more to the table. Because there's beautiful women all over the world, and you decided to choose this specific, this queen, this wife, that you want to spend the rest of your life with. So you can appreciate that beauty, but it's nothing compared to what I've decided to nurture and be for the rest of my life. That's because, not saying I don't rate the other females, it's just...
No, you don't rate the other females. No, let's keep it real. You don't, it's in comparison.
In comparison to what I've decided to, make an honest woman out of my wife. This is all I see. This is what I know that's gonna not only help her grow, help me grow, help us grow. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it's about not rating. It's that's not my focus. Do you know what I'm saying? That's that.
I think
I gotta be media trained with the way I say my words now.
You're very calculated. He's like a politician, are you? He's very calculated.
He's very 2022.
What's so funny is like, so obviously you're talking about how do you know when you're ready, like how do you know when you're ready for marriage? We've referred to the Bible and the Word and things like that, but it's almost like the Bible has got all of the answers for us. You remember that Miles Monroe clip in terms of marriage, and me and Lex spoke about it once, and it says things about a man. How does a man prepare himself, or how when he knows he's ready, things that he should do. And the first thing it talked about in terms of the Garden of Eden was that a man was placed in the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, a man was put into God's presence. That's the first thing that God done to man.
Mm-hmm.
So as if you feel like you're ready, bring yourself to God's presence. It's not saying go out there and just propose straight away. There are certain steps that you need to take.
And an environment.
Garden of Eden. The next step is very simple, work. That's it, make sure you're working.
Mm-hmm.
This is before you even decided to go and even propose. Just make sure you're working, so you're in God's presence and you're making sure you're working. The next thing is cultivate, in terms of bring out the best in everything around you, not a woman. Bring out the best in everything around you. Bring out the best in you and your mom's relationship. Bring out the best in the place you're working, even if it's a dead-end job. Bring out the best in it, cultivate. The next one was to guard the garden. That's what he told, because at the end of the day, God has asked men to guard the garden. He only told Adam that, simply because he wants Adam to guard it. Because when you finally do get married, guess what? You're going to be guarding your household. The final one was not to touch the tree. So he told Adam not to touch the tree. He didn't tell Eve that, he told Adam not to touch the tree. And for Adam to teach. Yes.
Yeah.
And the man is meant to teach Eve in terms of the word. And it's like, those are kind of simple principles depending on how we're reading some of these chapters. So when we know that we're ready, it's like, okay, right, how are we reading the Bible? Or how is the Bible being read to us and how are we understanding it? Whereby some people just read the end, man should not be left, man should not be alone. So women may be going out there and getting a man that's not reading the words, that doesn't know the word, that's not working, and trying to bring them to church and trying to change them and then having a difficult time. But guys, thank you.
Thank you.
For coming on today. I think we've spoken about quite a lot of things, which I believe that it will be able to help people who feel like they're ready, whether they're feeling weak and they're feeling scared and things like that. So again,
thank you. And before you wrap it up, man, big thank you to you, because to open up this platform for an open discussion is important, because we haven't got it figured out, but the discussion helps.
Yes.
And that's where it shows that we're not the only ones, you know. So big shout outs to you. And congratulations as well, bro.
Thank you.
We should toast in it. We should toast for the water.